Today I'm rating Mariah's E=MC². Hey kids, Treacle here. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm continuing my Mariah Carey album rating series. If you haven't seen one of my album rating videos before, maybe you're new to my channel, welcome if you are. I take a Mariah album and I score it against different criteria, see what the total score is and where the album places on my little leaderboard that I have going at the moment. I started this a few months back. I went with the debut from 1990 and I've been going all the way through in order except for the Christmas albums. I saved those for December so they got a fair listening during the correct season, and I've been continuing to go through and we have arrived at the 2008 album E=MC². If 2005's The Emancipation of Mimi was Mariah's comeback album, I mean, she never went anywhere, but it is regarded in the media as a big comeback album. It was a hugely successful moment for Mariah. It was critically well received. It performed very well commercially. Mariah picked up a few Grammys, not enough, but who cares about the Scammys anymore anyway, right? If that was the commercial comeback, then 2008's E=MC² was a really highly anticipated moment. If memory serves me correct, I believe the album was due to come out 2007 and then it got too late into the year, so then she thought, oh, I'll release it early 2008, and it got pushed back, I think, until around April. Was it April 2008? So we are 3 years on from the Emancipation, but the Emancipation era did go on because the album was reissued, Mariah toured, but technically from the original version of Emancipation being released to E=MC² being released, we're talking about 3 years, and that felt like a long wait. When the album was finally ready, I was super excited because there was a buzz, a lot of anticipation for this album, and I really loved the way Mariah was talking about it. I think she said something along the lines of, if Emancipation was the main course, then this album was the dessert. And although there was a 3-year gap, there was definitely a sense that this was a follow-on. I mean, it was there in the title. E=MC² is a simple but interesting and quite clever title. Emancipation equals Mariah Carey to the second power. And I think the artwork, the cover of this album, definitely has a nod to the Emancipation album cover. And I think it's sensible for her to kind of align herself with that album and not do something completely unexpected. It does feel like a part 2 or a follow-on, even though the albums are 3 years apart. So let's jump in. I've got my notes here in front of me so I don't forget anything. Sometimes I don't give a particular song a mention in these videos and you guys call me out in the comments and say, what about this song? You didn't mention it. And I'm like, oh my God, how did I forget that one? I love that one. So I've got my notes here because I don't want to forget anyone or anything from the album. So the first category is songs. Giving the songs a score out of 10 just based on how much I like and enjoy the songs, and I invite you to join along with me, and then we'll see how our totals compare at the end. So let's do a quick run through of the songs on here. Album opener, Migrate, a little bit different, but catchy, and I like the fact that it is similar to how we had It's Like That on Emancipation in terms of a bit of a party song, bit of a club track. Touch My Body was very impressive. I love the fact that that was the lead single choice from the album. Very clever lyrics, clever video, really fun, playful video, but the song still holds, I think. Cruise Control, yep, I like it. I think it's trying to do what Shake It Off did on Emancipation, so there's a bit of a formula. I Stay in Love, it is a weaker version of We Belong Together. I don't know if I prefer I Stay in Love to Don't Forget About Us, but it's definitely scratching that edge. I need that kind of a ballad on an album from Mariah, so very happy to have I Stay in Love. Side Effects, I remember being really excited for this song because she spoke about it in interviews and she was talking about the lyrical content, and when it arrived, there's a lot going on melodically. There's a lot of layering, and there's a lot of fast lyrics, and she's really going in deep, so it's one you have to absorb for a few listens. But Side Effects, I think, is really strong. I'm That Chick, this is a song that was rumored for a long time. I think the album was actually rumored to be That Chick or I'm That Chick by Tidal originally. So when we had a song called I'm That Chick, I'm like, okay, then now I understand where the album title rumors were coming from. I enjoy it. I think it's got a little bit of a throwback sound in terms of like disco and such, and it's fun. It's just good fun. Love Story, I do enjoy. It's not one of my favorites. I think it's quite similar to a couple of other songs. I'll Be Loving You Long Time, fun, summer bop, very happy to have it. Last Kiss and Thanks for Nothing, I kind of put them in a category with Love Story. Like, I don't know if we needed all three of them. I really, really love Thanks for Nothing. So for me, Love Story and Last Kiss, maybe we could have had one, not both. I don't know. OOC, fun, bit repetitive, not my favorite, but I'm not mad at it. For the record, I've got thoughts and feelings on. We'll get to that later. Bye Bye, I do enjoy. I do like it. I wish it performed a little bit better when it was released. I felt confident at the time it was going to be a big hit, but it wasn't. Never mind. I Wish You Well, I really, really love. I think it's wonderful that Emancipation finished on Fly Like a Bird, and then this album finishes on I Wish You Well. We get a real gospel moment and a deep message, very, very open and vulnerable Mariah, which is what I love about her and her songwriting. So top to bottom, across the board, I really like the songs on this album. I'm going to give the songs 7 out of 10 because there are many here that I do still enjoy and I do keep in rotation on different playlists. There aren't songs that I cling to as much as Emancipation. I do think the songs on the Emancipation of Mimi are a little bit stronger, but as a follow-up to that album, still very, very strong. So yeah, 7 out of 10. The next category is lyrics. So what do you think of Mariah's pen game when it comes to the lyrics on this album? Take away the vocals, take away the melody, just reading the lyrics. What do you think? So we have got fun moments with songs like Migrate, Touch My Body, Cruise Control. I think she's very clever in how she writes the songs, and I think Emancipation was a good setup with songs like Shake It Off, and then that kind of paved the way for Touch My Body in my mind. So I think she's been really, really clever with her lyrics, and that's something she's continued to do. But it was around this time that I think this kind of peaked, and it really got my interest. Like, I sensed that change in her mid-tempo, up-tempo songs, especially the commercial ones. But then she's also given us really, really personal moments. Although it's not a ballad, it's a mid-tempo. Side Effects is super, super interesting, and the story and the openness that she's given us is just amazing. Love that so much. Bye Bye as well is very, very it's like a song for everyone. It's got that whole like anthem thing, but if you know her story and you read the lyrics, she again is being very, very honest with us and open about her story. For the Record is not my favorite song on the album, but again, it's reflective, and if you know her story, you can, you know, thread everything together, and you know, you kind of work out the story. And I Wish You Well is very, very personal, and I think it's a really, really clever moment for her because she's given us gospel. So she goes to the Bible, she goes to the good book, and she pulls out these references and quotes and intertwines everything together. Overall, I'm going to give the lyrics on this album 9 out of 10 because I think she covers a range of things. We get the love songs, we get, you know, I Stay in Love, we get Last Kiss, we get Love Story, but even within Love Story, I love the story that she's giving. But we get clever writing for commercial releases like Touch My Body, but we get the introspective and personal moments as well. So for me, it's got to be 9 out of 10. The next category is vocals. What would you give Mariah's vocal performance on this album out of 10? Now, when I look through the songs on this album, there aren't many moments that I really think of in songs that I'm like, oh yeah, that's like my favorite part. Sometimes within songs, there is like a run or a lick or just like that final chorus or just little things, and like We Belong Together and Fly Like a Bird on the Emancipation of Mimi, and just interesting things she does with her voice. I think back to like the ending of My Saving Grace on Charm Bracelet. That's something that just feels really satisfying every time I hear it. On this album, there are less of those moments. I love that we get the full Mariah range. So we've got her harmonizing with herself, we've got the layerings, we've got whispers, we've got belts, but overall I just don't think she gives me personally, it's just my opinion, I don't get as many like, wow, I love hearing that over and over moments compared to Emancipation. So for this album, I'm giving 7 out of 10. Next up is unity or cohesion. How well does the album work as a body of work? Do you like listening to it from top to bottom in order, or do you not really care for the track listing and you like to mix it up? For me, this album is one that I think works. It does feel like, yeah, it's of a time. It doesn't feel mishmash. I don't get a sense that the songs were recorded at completely different times across the 3 years and thrown together at the end. It doesn't really work. I do enjoy listening to the album from top to bottom, but I don't feel it's necessary. This is one of the albums where I like to take songs that I'm in the mood for, or just mix up a little bit. I think because I've got in my head Love Story, Last Kiss, Thanks for Nothing, they're really close together and next to each other on the album, and sometimes I like to actually just to dip in, have one and put it on a playlist or whatever. So I'm going with 7.5 for this one. I just feel like there's a real spread. We've got Migrate and Touch My Body, and then we've got Side Effects and I Wish You Well, and it's really difficult to get these all in the right order. The Emancipation of Mimi was similar in terms of very different styles, and it is difficult to get it all to work in a track listing, and I can't put my finger on it, but I just feel like the Emancipation of Mimi was a bit more coherent in terms of top to bottom listening. This is an album I will shuffle a little bit more, so 7.5. Next up is longevity. What is the lasting impact of this album on Mariah's career? If you were to create a, top albums of her career list, if you were going to make an updated greatest hits album or something, how much would you be looking to this album to, feed those lists and then track listings? This is a bit of a weak one for me because I go back into this album and I've been listening to it over and over for this video, and I remind myself that actually I do really like these songs. Yeah, I forgot about that song almost. I do really enjoy it, but there's nothing really here that is very long lasting except for, of course, Touch My Body. That became a really big moment for Mariah. I love the fact she had like a bit of a skit within the video, and it was very well conceived, and she was so disciplined getting into a new fitness regime because the song was a fun camp little Touch My Body, so she wanted her body to be snatched, and it was. So I think that is something that you can put on today and people are still really going to remember and enjoy. But for me as a hardcore fan, there are songs here that when I've been getting ready for this video, I'm like, yeah, I should put some of these songs on more playlists and I should listen to this album a bit more, because I tend to forget about it a little bit, admittedly, at times. And I feel like the wider general public, they would only know or remember Touch My Body for, from this album. Whereas The Emancipation of Mimi was, everyone knows that album by title. So I'm going to give this album longevity 6.5, which maybe feels a little bit mean, but I feel like the only really long lasting moment is Touch My Body. So adding all of that together, that gives E equals MC squared a total score of 37 out of 50, which places it 1 point above Rainbow and 1 point below Music Box. So this is where the leaderboard is starting to get rather fleshed out now. There are not many more albums to add to this table. And it's interesting because Music Box, I'm like, wow, okay, because it's so like vintage and old, I actually do prefer, in my head, I think I prefer Mariah's more modern albums. And she brings in like the R&B and everything. But Music Box, I think, scored so highly because of longevity and amazing vocals, if I remember back to that video. So that's interesting for me. But yeah, E equals MC squared gets 37 points. Before we finish, there are 2 more things to pick, and I invite you to join in with me here. We're going to pick a repeat and a skip. So if I press you to pick a repeat, what would it be? Now, back in the day, my repeat would have been likely Thanks for Nothing, or possibly I Stay in Love. I just love the ballads, and yeah, I would naturally go towards them. But in listening to this album a few times already for this video, I'm actually going to go with Side Effects because it really is clever and I love the melody. I think the production is great. I love so some of the vocal moments and like the crying out, and it's coupled with the fact it's so personal as well. I actually really enjoy the vocals and I really enjoy the lyrical content. I think it was very clever. I think it's very honest and brave of her to share that song. So yeah, my repeat would be Side Effects. And finally, this is the hardest part, picking a skip. So it's just for fun, it's just for laughs, whatever. But if you had to pick a skip, what would it be? Now, on my standard edition of the album, and I didn't mention this when I was going through the songs at the beginning because I forgot, we had Heat. Heat is a bonus track, I believe, on the international version, but here in the UK, I believe it was on our standard version. Not a big fan of Heat. I think it does have that kind of extra bonus track vibe, and I think the album is much stronger finishing on I Wish You Well, much stronger. So I kind of want to pick Heat, but I know that for some of you guys that's not on your standard edition of the album. So if I don't pick Heat, it's going to have to be For the Record, which I feel is going to be a little bit controversial, and I know not everyone's going to agree with me. I do see a lot of love given to this song online by you guys, and it's no hate for me. I just don't enjoy it. I don't really know why. I just don't know why it's not my favorite. I find it a little bit boring. I don't enjoy the melody. I know she's got that clever part, the bridge, referencing her own songs, but that's just not my favorite moment. I can't put my finger on it. When I hear the music, I just think of the perfume ad. Do you remember that before the album came out, we had in 2007, Mariah released her debut fragrance and there was some music in the background.
Mariah Carey.
And then when this album came out, then all of a sudden we're like, oh, okay, she was using music from a forthcoming song. So when I hear the song start, I just think of the perfume ad. So it just feels like the perfume ad music. I don't know. I just can't put my finger on it. I just know that if I listen to this album and if I had to cut one, it's going to be Heat, or if you want to go with your standard version, if you don't have Heat, it would be For the Record. Please don't hate me. So there we have it. I'm giving E = MC squared 37 points out of 50. My repeat is Side Effects, and my skip would be Heat or For the Record. Let me know in the comments if you scored as well. Let me know what your total points are. Let me know your repeat and let me know your skip. And yeah, do you love For the Record, or do you kind of see where I'm coming from? Let me know. I enjoy swapping opinions. It's all done with love. I know we've got different favorites and everything, but it's really interesting for me to compare and see what you guys think. So I will catch you up in the comments as always. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Remember, I am on Instagram and Twitter as TreacleTots, so you can follow me there, and I'll see you back here again soon for another video. Cheers, thanks a lot.